The most important meal of the day, second breakfast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another Second Breakfast podcast. I'm Andy Roth alongside Phil Duvall. Say hi, Phil.
Oh, America.
Are you excited?
Oh, Ireland and Wales. Oh, China. I'm trying to encompass the enormity of Second Breakfast Nation. Those of you who think little of us but listen to us for condescending reasons should know we have listeners all over the globe.
It's true.
As you may notice behind me, my office is filled with many leather-bound books and smells of deep mahogany. Kind of a big deal. So, Andy and Second Breakfast Nation,
Yes.
Flames! I have never been more excited about anything than I am for right now because it is time, well, not exactly right this moment, but during this episode, Andy, of Second Breakfast, the return of the Gauntlet.
The Gauntlet.
The Gauntlet. If you don't know what the Gauntlet is, we'll tell you in a few minutes.
It's true. I would like to say that
Stay tuned.
I feel like that's a lie. I feel like there have been things you were more excited for.
Shh. Don't speak. Don't speak.
I'm just saying.
I live in the now. I live in the now.
I'm just all right, Sutter.
In the words oh wow, spectacular now. In the words of Bob Dylan in a very mediocre song, yesterday's just a memory and tomorrow's never what it's supposed to be, and I need you tonight. So Andy, that's all. We've got tonight. Who needs tomorrow? That's a whole other song about how right now is all that matters to me.
Why?
The Gauntlet.
Why don't you stay? Okay.
Oh!
Heyo!
We do a whole episode just in really cliched song titles.
I mean, yes, I think we can do that. Should we do that? I think that's a different answer. Okay. And here we go. But before we get to the Gauntlet, as is our wont every Friday, we tell you what's coming out this week, what you might be interested in, what you might not be interested in. We don't care. We're just going to tell you what's coming out. And
I consider it a public service.
Let me be clear about this. You're welcome, Second Breakfast Nation.
We're doing this for you.
Yeah.
We're not doing this for ourselves. I don't care.
Right? I don't see movies. I'm not doing it for me.
I mean, I'm probably not going to go to the movies this weekend, so this really is for y'all.
I might not either.
I'm sorry.
Although I did just find out, and this is only slightly off topic, that my independent theater near my house, the one in downtown Durham that I just love.
Say it. Oh, I know what you're going to say.
It's not Short Term 12,
I know that.
Like In a World is coming there over the next couple
wow.
of weeks. Like a bunch of movies I didn't think we were getting. They're coming out, and it's all in September. I'm very excited.
I thought you were going to say something completely different, actually.
What is that?
Well, I thought you were going to say that the movie pass that you own worked at that movie theater, and you just found out.
It already.
Okay, but I thought maybe you just found out. Movie Pass is actually they don't give us any money, so I don't know why I'm telling this to America. But there's a thing called Movie Pass that you can buy, and it's a year subscription. And then other than like IMAX and 3D stuff and special screenings, that's your movie tickets for the whole year.
Yes, and you're not locked out.
Andy's already paid. Andy paid for this thing in the first month and a half.
Yeah. And
amazing.
You're not blocked out of the first weekend. You're not blocked out opening.
Nope.
You can only see a movie once on it, and you can't see 3D or IMAX. But
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, they're thinking about higher subscription tiers where that's available, but I can almost assure you that's not worth it. It's not going to be worth it. Certainly not for me.
Rest assured.
But yeah, I am basically much like I was with Netflix when I lived in New York and watched basically 3 movies the day they got to me in the mail. I am the fat guy that the buffet restaurant's like, oh no.
Have you heard that? You're Jonathan Panette at the Chinese food buffet.
I've been here for an hour. Why
you go now?
Vegetable? You go now. Yes. For all of our listeners of Asian descent, I'm not making fun of your accent. I'm aping a comedian who was making fun of your accent.
True.
Because that makes me less racist somehow. Okay, so here is what's coming out this weekend. The big movie.
Andy?
Yes?
The guy who portrayed Hitler in the movie is not as bad as Hitler. He was just doing his job. Just playing the role.
Thank goodness.
I'm just
I
saying.
have landed on the not as bad as Hitler level of
No,
humanity.
I'm saying you're not as bad as the guy who made the joke. I'm defending you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. I love how
Although I
whenever
said it
I'm on your
angrily.
side, I know when I'm on your side on things, you're like, Phil's an idiot. Like, okay, well then, don't accept my help. Just drown, buddy. Drown in that pool of racism that you're swimming in.
That's a dirty pool.
It is.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The big release this weekend. This was fun. I enjoyed this. The big release this weekend. Riddick. Riddick. My strong second favorite of the film franchises that Vin Diesel is involved in, behind the Fast and Furious franchise and way ahead of Triple X.
He was only in the first Triple X.
He's still part of the franchise.
Okay.
Really?
Go ahead.
Really? You're actually, I want to pause here because
No, there were two of them. There were only two of them. Is that a franchise?
all I'm saying is one of us is being extremely pedantic, and I'm honestly not sure which it is.
Oh, well, I'm sure that it's you.
I'm not sure that's true. It might be.
Oh,
I'm willing to accept that it might be.
Okay.
But you're still the worst. So, Riddick is coming out. It looks really great because it looks a lot more like the first movie in the franchise, Pitch Black, and a lot less like the second movie in the franchise, Chronicles of Riddick. Also, it has Katie Sackhoff, who is just the awesomest awesome whoever awesomed, who every right-thinking person out there will know as Starbuck in the remake of Battlestar Galactica.
And all the rest of us will know her from her one season on 24.
Oh, sure. Or, of course, what was that revolutionary television show she was on? The Education of Max Bickford, I think. The Richard Dreyfuss.
All I know is I just Google imaged her and found a picture of her with red hair. And in the words of Jay the critic, hachi machi.
I mean, I believe you. I know as her blonde. I know her as a blonde.
Hachi.
And no. The only, I mean, you know, your mileage may vary, folks, because limited releases are just that. They're limited, so they come to parts of the country at various times. So I don't know what's coming out near you, but the big limited release, probably in New York and LA this weekend, Adore, which is the extraordinarily realistic movie where, is it Nicole Kidman? No, it's
Naomi Watts and Robin Wright.
And Robin Wright's sons have affairs with the other one's mom.
I already bought a whole theater for myself.
I know. It's like also known as like literally every 13-year-old boy's dream.
I'm not ready for this movie to be a movie that exists.
No one is ready for this movie.
I'm also not ready for Naomi Watts to be old enough to have a son that's old enough to have intercourse with Robin Wright. That's strange for me.
Honestly, I mean, again, a 13-year-old. She could have a 13-year-old. Her son is older in this movie. It's true.
Well, that's part of the movie is they put it on that level. She's only 44, is my point.
Sure.
They put it on that level where the kid, her son, is a grown up. He's an adult. Mm-hmm. Even if he's like a 19-year-old, he's still an adult.
No, yes, okay. I agreed. Okay. Yes, no disagreement here. So there's that, and I mean, I don't have anything to say to that.
I will just repeat what I said a while back, which is that Robin Wright may be the most beautiful actress of our lifetimes, and we need to get our heads around that. Or not. We don't have to. It's fine.
Right.
But her role, Princess Buttercup, it's not just that she was pretty in Princess Bride. Right. It's that for those of us our age, it's actually very similar to Leslie Ann Warren as Miss Scarlet in Clue. Mm-hmm. It's not even a matter of if they were pretty. It's that they ended up defining pretty, not just pretty, but sexy for young, like, we're right when our minds were just starting to go, attracted to women.
She was one of the first people, the first women that I could say, like, beauty, where it's separated from, like, a family member, right? So what you get is you start to get, because when you're three...
I'm just trying to understand.
Like, when you're 3 years old, the most beautiful woman in the world is mom, right? Whoever you are. But, when you start to separate that, and whether or not you can call them sexual feelings yet... You know, because we were 10 when that movie came out, 9 or 10, somewhere around there. Oh, maybe even younger. When was it? 86, 87?
87.
87, so younger than that. I don't know if you can call it sexual feelings yet, but it's certainly, this is a beauty that this is beautiful in a different way than I am used to, right?
Even if I could call it that, I wouldn't, just because this is a family podcast. But I will say, yeah, the idea of sexiness wasn't even something we could have articulated at that age.
Yes.
At all. But that being said, when we started to articulate it, these were the people, like I said, for me, Robin Wright in The Princess Bride, Leslie Ann Warren in Clue, and then pretty much everyone that was on MTV, because I watched MTV when I was that age.
Sure.
Were the people that I would go, and that is how I define sexy. Once that started popping, or just attractiveness. Just attractiveness.
Sure. Just so we're clear, you and I just said the exact same thing, except my boss isn't God. So, I'm just.
I agree. Well put. Well put.
Shall we move on? Shall we move on? We could.
Let me just take a pause. Can we pause so I can take my foot out of my mouth? And done. Okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say we could continue to talk about the milfiness movie of those two as long as you want, but here we go with what is it, Phil? What are we doing?
Time? Wait, those are the only movies?
That's it. We're done.
Wow, the dregs.
Welcome to the secondary fallow period. It's dumpuary and
Woo!
I don't know, and like drab timber, you know.
The answer to your question, Andy Roth,
Tell me,
is that it is time for the Gauntlet.
The Gauntlet. This Gauntlet.
Let's get ready to Gauntlet. I'm very excited.
I'm also excited, but I would like to point out to you that Michael Buffer is extraordinarily litigious, so if we could avoid his copyrighted material as much as possible, that would be great.
He needs to calm down is what he needs to do.
I don't disagree.
But I hear what you're saying. Do you want an introduction to the Gauntlet as an idea, and then I could do that, and then you could introduce the Gauntlet
please
particular?
Do.
Okay.
Phil, it is time for the Gauntlet. Could you tell me what the Gauntlet is?
Well, Andy, I will pretend that you don't already know, because I know you know, but there are people out there that might not. You see, we are famous among people for doing a mailbag. I'm pretty sure we were the first people ever to consider doing this in a public forum for the sake of humor.
It's unbelievable. When Phil told me about the concept of a mailbag, I was like, I think
people write questions about movies and then we answer them.
I think you might be onto something, but because it's so new, I can't be sure.
How could no one have come up with this before? And yet, so we started doing this mailbag, and our friend of the podcast, Joshua Edwards, who we'll never have as a guest on the show because he doesn't have a camera on his computer, it turns out.
Really, Joshua?
I'm just telling you what I know. So he wrote in a question for the mailbag, but it ended up being 7 questions in a row, or 8, and every single question had a multiple choice answer. And it wasn't just a mailbag, it was, let's face it, a gauntlet. It was a gauntlet. To try to get through, you couldn't just do one question. You had to, go through this gauntlet of series of things. And so it couldn't just be, what's your favorite Stanley Kubrick movie? And then I could say whatever I want. He'd be like, what's the best Stanley Kubrick movie? Pick one of these 3.
Yes.
I mean, so we've done a number of these, including one that broke my soul, by a guy named Keith Porcaro, who then became the director of our show, based on the fact that if someone can break my soul, they deserve to have to deal with me on a regular basis. And Josh Edwards wrote another one. We've had some great gauntlets. I think Mike and Vanessa Robb wrote one. We've just had some really phenomenal gauntlets. We have some more in the works. Yes. And now, and that's the idea. We're going to go through these questions, generally that have multiple choice answers, and we are confined to the answers that we're given and have to sort of work within those bounds.
Yes. Having said all of that, normally on a Friday we tell you to, if you have questions for the mailbag, you should send them to secondbreakfastpodcast@gmail.com. That is still true, but if either because you have experienced a gauntlet before with us or because you are about to experience this one, it strikes your fancy to write a gauntlet of your own, please send that in to secondbreakfastpodcast@gmail.com. We are always happy to get a new gauntlet, assuming it's good. Don't waste our time with crappy gauntlets. But let us decide that they're crappy. It's true. Because we have really awesome taste. And And that's what I got to say. You know, this is the 7th, I think, that we've done, 6th or 7th that we've done, and all of them are fun. So find them in our archives, and that's what I got. Shall we get started?
I think that would be the best thing ever.
This is brought to us by friend of the podcast, Ryan Caldwell. Hello, Ryan.
Hello, Ryan.
Okay. This one, picture this. This one
Nice.
This one sets a scene, okay? But it does so within the question. So,
How do we know Ryan Caldwell?
we don't. I know him from law school. Yep.
Sigh.
I know. Yeah, I know him from law school. He was the captain of my first year softball team, the Fightin' Wickelgrins, and we were awesome.
I'm sorry. The what?
Our contracts professor was named, and I want you to picture the person I'm talking about. Our contracts professor was named Abraham Wickelgren. Okay? Whatever you are thinking of, whatever you are picturing in your head, I promise you're wrong. Here's what he actually looked like. He was a slight 40-ish, boyish-looking ginger.
Okay.
That's it.
I like it.
Me too.
My seminary, we had a flag football team, and we were called the Fightin' Friars.
The only thing I don't like about that is because I like it. The only thing I don't like about that is like that would be Providence College's like football team.
That's what they're actually called, or would be?
I mean, I don't know if they have a football team, but their teams are called the Friars.
Yeah, but we're the Fightin' Friars.
Yes, yes. That's
okay.
That's extremely
Moving
different.
right along.
That is very cool. It is very. I like it. I leave it this way. Again, I like it.
Just remind me not to get you anything for Christmas because you'll probably crap on it and send it back.
I'm just saying.
I'm
it's
just
out
saying.
there. I'm just saying it's out there. And please, because I would love to be proven wrong about this, please find me a college team that has the Wickelgrins as their mascot, is all I'm saying.
Well, if uniqueness is the winner, then you win.
It's not the winner. It's a winner. We're particularly contentious today, Phil, and I think I know why.
No.
I think I know why. It's because folks, even the gentlest of gauntlets scares us to the very marrow of our bones, and so
That's true.
Frankly, we take it out on each other. So I'm sorry that you've had to watch that.
Wait, before we get started, then Andy.
Yes.
I don't know how we're gonna do this since we both have to look at the camera to make this happen. But look me in the eyes. Look at me.
Done.
Andy.
Yes.
I love you.
I love you right back.
Okay, you ready for this?
No, but we're gonna do it anyway.
Andy,
Okay.
Andy, I believe in you.
I believe in you too.
Okay, let's go. Gauntlet!
We cannot waste any more time. Question number 1. You have been invited to a nice costume party. Wanting to look your best, but also wishing to look distinctly American, you have decided to dress as a character from your favorite Sergio Leone spaghetti western. Love it already.
Wow.
Are you dressed as the man with no name from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Cheyenne from Once Upon a Time in the West, or Mallory from Duck, You Sucker?
Okay.
Please.
Okay. First of all, there's so many things that I want to say to this. Brilliant beginning to a question, but one of the things I want to say is the idea of wanting to look distinctly American, so choosing to go dressed as a cowboy from a movie made in Italy or Spain is hilarious.
I might offer that that is precisely American. Oh, we like this thing?
Okay.
We're going to appropriate it and pretend that it's
Right.
ours.
Totally. That's a very well said thing. Now is the time for the shame of admitting I've never seen Duck, You Sucker.
Neither have I. I've seen stills from it, so I'm good to go, but sure.
Unquestionably, of the other two, my favorite Sergio Leone spaghetti western is Once Upon a Time in the West.
Nice. Well played.
And I love the Cheyenne character. And so, I mean, he is technically, this is a roundabout way of asking, which is your favorite of these three movies? I think that just from the going to a costume party thing, I would almost want to be the man with no name just because it would be more recognizable.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, and I've actually dressed up as a costume as something twice of something that I had to explain to people over and over and over again. It's not fun. You think it's going to be clever? It's not. It's really annoying.
It's the worst. It is the
and
worst.
I will tell you those costumes off air, but on the air, I'll just say that I thought they were both really clever ideas, and they were, but cleverness is not the end all be all.
Right. There's a reason that the phrase is too clever by half. There's a reason that's
So the reality is if I dressed as Cheyenne from Once Upon a Time in the West, people would go, "Oh, so you're a cowboy?"
Right. Yes.
And I'd be like, "I'm Cheyenne from Once Upon a Time in the West." And they'd be like, "Who's that?" And you'd be like a cowboy. So Once Upon a Time in the West is my favorite. Cheyenne is a total badass of a character.
Yes.
I love that that's the guy he picked over harmonica.
Yes.
Anyways, but yeah.
So,
there you go.
So not only do I agree with you, I completely agree with you. I think, and it's taken me a long time to get here. For a very long time, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly was my favorite Sergio Leone movie. And and if you catch me on the right day, it still might be. But I think it is now Once Upon a Time in the West. Having said that, clearly I'm going as the man with no name. Because it is instantly recognizable. It's just instantly recognizable. And that's it. I
So
think
you're going with that one even though, is what you're saying.
much like you did, yes.
Okay. And legit. Totally legit.
And frankly, maybe my answer would be different if I hadn't had the exact same experience you had with Halloween costumes that were too clever by half. Or
I can't wait for off the air when we talk about those.
I know. Yeah, indeed. So, I'll give you one. Here's a freebie for you because it's one I could say on a family podcast. I went as Zaphod Beeblebrox from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Nice.
3 arms, 2 heads. You know who hasn't read a lot of a demographic that the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy didn't really reach in the late 80s? 4th graders. Didn't really get that far.
You went as Zaphod Beeblebrox when you were in 4th grade?
Maybe 5th.
Either way, I mean, I think I went as a panda bear, so I think you win.
So yeah, and yes, I had 3 arms and a 2nd head. So
God, you used to be so much cooler than me.
I used to be so much cooler than I am now.
It's true. Talk about regression to the mean.
Oh man,
you're like a living Albert Pujols person. Not, sorry, I saw the Angels
Albert
last.
Pujols. Okay,
just like Albert. I mean, all right, next.
Number 2. As a prelude to the evening's festivities, your hosts have arranged a brief concert. You have a choice as to how you wish to spend the next hour. Which movie score would you most enjoy listening to without the movie? First, Ennio Morricone, The Mission.
Okay. Game over, but continue.
I figured you'd say that.
Just for giggles. Just for giggles.
Right.
Continue.
B, Bill Conti, The Right Stuff.
Okay.
What an excellent score that is. C, John Williams, Star Wars. D, Tan Dun, Hero. I confess I'm not familiar with... I have seen Hero, but I confess I do not remember the score. Those are the 4.
Me too, and me neither, and I think that speaks for itself.
I think that's probably right.
I have never seen The Right Stuff.
Ooh, you will enjoy it when you watch it.
I believe that completely. That being said, I cannot imagine... First of all, I have gone on record as saying my favorite score of all time is Ennio Morricone's The Mission.
I recall this. I recall this fact.
That being said... Freaking Star Wars, man.
Without the movie. That's the deal.
Oh no,
right?
but Star Wars is one of the few soundtracks you can listen to without the movie because you just sit there and picture the movie.
Oh, I agree with you.
So here's the difference for me. The difference for me. Those are the two clear choices.
Sure.
Between those two, here's the deal. I can close my eyes and picture everything that's happening while listening to the Star Wars soundtrack. Mm-hmm. And I would be picturing the real version of Star Wars, not all the different remastered crazy versions with extra people that didn't matter. But the Mission soundtrack, or score, I actually listen to not to think about the movie, although I feel the movie when I'm watching it.
Sure.
But I'm not actually even thinking of particular scenes.
Mm-hmm.
So I would actually pick the Mission score, even if the other one would make me more like I'm thinking about the movie, and if you're at a party, like it's all rousing. If it literally is just as a piece of music that I love all by itself, the Mission score. The Mission score by Ennio Morricone just is beyond. It goes beyond for me.
I have not seen The Mission, which you know.
I did, but forgot.
Sure, it's on the list. It's on the queue, as it were, if you will. And you will.
I will.
Yes. So here's here's why I'm choosing Star Wars, and I had to parse this pretty finely, so bear with me. I fully believe that I would and will end up feeling the same way as you about the Mysteries. Maybe it's not my favorite score of all time, but in terms of this question, I can fully believe that I would come to the same answer. But
I mean, yeah.
But here's the deal. You've either I wanted to answer this question this way. It's a score that I recognized as a movie score, and yet, you know, you're going. It's the first hour of a costume party. You don't necessarily. I wanted something that I could drop into and enjoy whatever was going on, and then pull away and be like, oh no, now I can talk to somebody that I'm just meeting and ask them what their too clever by half costume is. Right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
And Star Wars, as iconic as it is, I could drop in for, the Imperial March, and then as it moves on, I could be like, hi, I'm Andy. What's your name? You know what's
even weirder is that, I mean, I don't know how much you want to parse this, but the Imperial March is in Empire Strikes Back. It might not even be.
Oh, that's right. Yes, you're right. That's right.
If I think about Star Wars too long, I'll start getting mad about the fact that when they changed the ending of Return of the Jedi, they just got rid of the Ewok tribal music.
Oh, yes.
So
That's totally fair.
So let's just change. So what would happen is I'd be sitting there getting ready for this party, dressed up like a cowboy, and all of a sudden it would end, and I'd be furious. Nobody needs that.
I am an angry cowboy.
Right.
Okay, so there you go.
There you go.
Number 3. As the concert ends, you realize that you may have been sitting slightly too close to the bass drum and gong. Now quite deaf, oh no. You gaze around the room watching human dramas play out in silence, and you realize the best non-talking scene in a talkie or TV show is A. Last of the Mohicans, Promontory. B. Hero, fight between moon and flying snow. Okay with the hero, Ryan. Okay. The Shield, final...
Has the guy never seen Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon? Just asking.
I know, right? The Shield, final scene of the pilot episode. Or D, Big Night, final scene. Can I go first?
Please, I have an idea of what you will pick.
You know what I will pick, and anyone who has watched this podcast knows a lot of this podcast will know. It's D, Big Night, final scene. It is so rare that the final scene of a movie is no longer than it has to be, not only does not insult your intelligence, but actually commends you for paying attention. Perfectly scripted emotionally, beautifully acted. It's perfect. That movie is a very, very, very good movie. And would be so if the last scene of the movie were terrible. The last scene of that movie elevates it to something that is a truly special movie. That's it. That's what I got.
I like that.
Thanks.
First of all, again, hero. Why are we talking about this movie right now?
Right.
Secondly, The Shield is not a movie. Just stop.
You know what I'm grateful for?
Disqualified.
It's true.
The fact that neither of us have ever actually seen The Shield.
I know what happens at the end of the pilot episode. I don't care. Okay. You know what I'm grateful for at this moment in my life, Phil? That Sergio Leone didn't direct Hero, because then it would have been in the first question too.
Oh, Lord Almighty. It is amazing that he created this question and didn't put something like the train sequence from Once Upon a Time in the West in there.
Right? Yes. Well said.
Failure. Okay.
Ryan, we're still just angry that we have to do a gauntlet. We're lashing out.
Last of the Mohicans
yes.
is one of the greatest movies of all time.
Yes.
Of all time.
Still agreeing with you.
And one of the reasons it's one of the greatest movies of all time is because of the scene you just listed here, which is like 5 to 7 minutes of utter perfection. It is not a good movie that was made better by an end. It was a perfect movie, perfectly ended. One of my favorite climaxes, maybe one of my top 5 or 10 sequences of any movie ever. It is so clearly my choice that while I appreciate your choice, and mock mercilessly the other two options. My heart grew 3 sizes just reading Last of the Mohicans as an option in this Gauntlet.
Nice.
It is far and away my answer. And I can sit here and I'm visualizing the whole thing right now. The way that to me, that was my introduction to Daniel Day-Lewis.
Awesome.
That was my introduction. I was going to say that was my introduction to James Fenimore Cooper, but let's face it. That was both the beginning, middle, and end of my relationship with James Fenimore Cooper.
So it was.
It was my introduction to Michael Mann.
Nice.
So
what I have to say about that is I can't disagree with anything you said. I can't. I did not have the same experience with Last of the Mohicans that you did. I didn't see it until I was an adult. So while I can't disagree with you, I saw Big Night when I was younger.
Okay.
And it affected me at a more elemental level, much the same way that Last of the Mohicans clearly affected you. Also, and this isn't, I don't want to push this too far because you and I are separate free agents in this world, but I knew that you were going to say that. So I felt especially comfortable picking Big Night, even though I'm guessing more of our viewers and listeners have seen Last of the Mohicans.
Well, they've got good taste. Okay.
Agreed.
Okay. Great.
Good.
Thanks for thank you for letting me think about Last of the Mohicans. Appreciate it.
Even if it involved also thinking about Hero again.
I like how we've just decided it was a bad thing.
I know, right? Right?
Like this movie hurt us.
Right, and it didn't hurt. I enjoyed it.
I went on a terrible date for that movie, so...
You probably enjoyed it less than I did.
Yep.
Number 4. You reach for a glass of champagne, fine champagne, and true to your clumsy nature, knock it over. Champagne splashes everywhere as an exceedingly good-looking and suave man in a tuxedo looks over at you with a sympathetic, yet still superior, smirk.
Hey.
You wish you could be him, and you also realize, I love the non sequitur of this question, of the sentence. You wish you could be him, and you also realize the super spy franchise that has the most capability to grow or innovate in the future is A, Bourne, B, James Bond, C, Mission Impossible. Here's the deal. Here's why, as much as I love the franchise, Bourne cannot be the answer. Okay? He never wears a tuxedo. Why are you thinking about Bourne when you're looking at a man in a tuxedo? You know what I mean?
He's not really a spy. He's an assassin.
Also true. There are other reasons that are significantly...
It's a good question.
Significantly less pedantic, shall we say,
So the question really is, which of these 3 quote-unquote spy franchises has the best potential for innovation and growth?
Yes.
Okay. Go.
I'm gonna go with Mission Impossible.
Interesting choice, Andy Roth. Say why.
You know, Phil, I think I will. It's a little bit of process of elimination. My non-pedantic reasons for thinking that Bourne has somewhat of a shelf life is this. First off, Mission Impossible, the cast has changed. Yes, Tom Cruise has been in it all the time. The cast has changed around him, though. James Bond, clearly, I mean, yes, maybe most people identify Sean Connery with it, but you're going to have Daniel Craig fans. You'll even find the odd Roger Moore fan out there. It clearly has staying power past the actor. Bourne, what the Bourne legacy shows is that I won't say that the Bourne movies could not survive without Matt Damon, but they can't survive a subpar movie without Matt Damon. I love Jeremy Renner. I love him. I think he is a fabulously talented actor. He is not... I don't think this is a useful thing to think, really, but he is not less talented than Matt Damon, and he's not less fun to watch in an action movie. But...
Right.
But the movie didn't work. So Bourne's out. James Bond... I think they've done an admirable job of updating him with the Daniel Craig movies. Whatever you think about the 3 movies or as Bond movies, I think the act of updating him has been a success. But he is still, in some sense, you know what you're gonna get with him. He's gonna have sex with beautiful women. Not that that's a bad thing. He's going to look suave. Not that that's a bad thing. And he's going to and you know the structure of a Bond movie. Whereas Mission Impossible, they can do pretty much whatever they want as long as they send one of the characters crawling around on the outside of a building, which is not a bad trope to have, right?
Sure.
You got to have somebody in a mask, and you got to have somebody do a truly death-defying stunt. I watched the last one, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, in IMAX, and the scene when he was on Burj Khalifa, I think is the name of the building, whatever, the tallest building in the world. That was a movie. It might be the only time I've thought to myself, maybe I shouldn't have seen this in IMAX.
Because it was terrifying.
Because it was terrifying. I reserve the right to have the second movie of that be Gravity, which I'm seeing in a couple weeks, or at the beginning, because I'm totally seeing that in IMAX 3D. And
vertigo inducing.
Oh man! But yes. So that's my purely. I'm not going to say it's my favorite. I'm not going to say the one that I think is quote unquote the best. But I think the one that has the most capability to grow and innovate in the future. Oh, here's the other thing with the Bourne series. How much mileage are you going to get out of the CIA being the bad guy?
Well,
no.
In my book, tons.
No, I know. And I'm not saying you couldn't keep doing it. I'm saying as a film franchise, I feel like it already has started to get a little repetitive.
I feel like if Matt Damon, Jason Bourne, if Jason Bourne hooked up with Edward Snowden for the next one, I would watch the crap out of that.
That's fair.
Okay, but he won't. Here's the deal. Here's the definitive answer, and by that I mean my answer. I love your answer. Your answer almost sways me. It's a good enough answer. I could just leave it, but I'm gonna go with Bond.
Okay.
But I want to say here's my 2 cents about the Bourne. Put aside the fact that it isn't actually a spy movie and he doesn't actually wear tuxedo.
Fair.
They could go in that direction with him.
You're right.
If they're willing to completely and utterly, if he's willing to start working with the government again, or work as a rogue agent, like an A-Team type character, then there's plenty to be done.
Agreed.
What we have seen, however, is that the tighter the movies get in the Bourne series, the more elemental, the more simple they get, the better they are.
Yes.
And that all three that are successful are all basically the exact same premise.
Yep.
And it was just that the people who were making them got better at executing that.
Right.
And I don't see that happening again. I just don't. I don't see it.
Right.
And if it is, it's not innovation. It's literally just somehow becoming more efficient as a filmmaker, which I don't know how Paul Greengrass could do that.
Right. It's true. He was never an inefficient filmmaker. But yeah, it's like Bourne runs away, finds a point where, the line must be drawn here, turns around and kills somebody. The end of the movie.
I think in terms, yes. And so I think I just don't see potential for growth or innovation there. Now, unless, as I said, they go in a direction where, it just becomes a completely different set of movies.
Yes.
And that would be innovation by definition, but it would also just... Mission Impossible is really... All it really is whatever Tom Cruise wants it to be.
That's true.
And Tom Cruise is only getting older. Mm-hmm. And as soon as the Church of Scientology stops feeding him the anti-aging juice, it's going to be like when Bilbo gave the ring up, and then like a year later... It had aged like 70 years. Tom Cruise is starting to look a little bit like butter spread up over too much bread. But I think that and I'm with you actually. Ghost Protocol was maybe my favorite definitely my favorite since the first one.
Yeah.
Maybe the best one of all of them. Maybe.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, as a series, and that is why your answer to me works, is that it could literally do anything, and it would be. Yep. And it would be innovation.
Sure.
My problem is because we don't actually have emotional attachment to any of the characters. Mm-hmm. And I don't believe we have an emotional attachment to Ethan Hunt. I don't buy it at this point.
No, I agree.
Because of that, there may be innovation, but I have trouble seeing growth. Unless they were literally going to reboot without Tom Cruise and create a new Ethan Hunt and a team that matters. No, right?
No, what? Not only do I agree with you, but that was what they were planning on doing with Jeremy Renner's character. Hello again, Jeremy Renner.
No, but but I'm talking about for Mission Impossible, right?
No, I know he was in Ghost Protocol.
Oh, you're right. Yes.
Yes.
You're right. I know you're right. But
I only remembered that myself.
For him to reboot Mission Impossible and Bourne would be a little exhausting for everybody. And if it didn't work, it would be really nerve-wracking for Jeremy Renner's agent. But yes. I'm gonna go with Bond.
Okay.
The Bond series is not my favorite series.
Okay.
I find James Bond to be cruel, misogynistic, not just sexist, misogynistic. And not just James Bond, but actually the way the series treats women as a series, even the most recent ones.
Sure.
That being said, it seems like just recently, whoever's in charge of the franchise has decided to take seriously the James Bond movies as films.
Yep.
And not just and I could see them deciding to be interested in addressing the misogyny of the character. Mm-hmm. Addressing his sort of attitude about things, his sadistic nature. I could see them actually playing with the tropes and addressing them in a sort of postmodern way. They've already updated the violence so that it's basically Jason Bourne type violence. Mm-hmm. The benefit of that is even if they don't continue to do that, they could go to a different direction. They can update the violence to whatever kind of violence Americans like at this, or the world. And by that I mean American movie-going audiences. Like at any given moment. Mm-hmm. They can do all sorts of different things with the James Bond character, and it's so at this point so well established that I feel like they can do things, and what the things they do will be acknowledged commentary on the already established character, and that interests me. That's fair. Even though it's got, of the three, to me, like the most rabid fan base and the tightest sort of leash. Mm-hmm. I actually think within that restraint, there's more room for growth. That being said, of those three that are listed, and this is not what the question was, the Bourne trilogy is my favorite of all the things that have been mentioned. So, nice. I don't own one James Bond movie, and I don't own one Mission Impossible movie, but I own the Bourne trilogy on the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Agreed. Moving on. Number 5.
Number Johnny 5.
You attempt to clean up your mess, but only succeed in making it worse. As the beleaguered caterer pleads for you to leave him alone by claiming that you're acting like Peter Sellers in the best Pink Panther movie. Which movie is that? A. The Pink Panther. B. A Shot in the Dark. C. Return of the Pink Panther.
First of all, what's the name of the guy who wrote this Gauntlet?
Ryan Caldwell.
Ryan, Mr. Caldwell, I don't like how your Gauntlet just assumes we're idiots. You're the one asking us questions that you want answers to.
Right, and you're making us basically a buffoon.
Maybe treat us with a little bit more respect.
A modicum.
Okay, Andy, I'm going to shoot this to you. I'm going to punt, and I'm not punt. I mean, I will answer, but here's what I'll say. I have seen bits of Shot in the Dark and bits of Return of the Pink Panther, but I have only seen the Pink Panther all the way through. Sure. I know that A Shot in the Dark is the official best Pink Panther movie. That is the official statement among all film people. Right. That A Shot in the Dark is the official best. I have seen bits of Return, but I've only seen the original, so I'm gonna go with the original based on the fact that I've seen it. Fair.
I toe the party line. It has been forever and a day since I've seen any of these movies, but the answer is A Shot in the Dark.
There you go.
Having said that, I think I'm going to go with you. I think I'm going with the first one, and here's why. Because I don't like acting like Peter Sellers in the best Pink Panther movie. You know what, Ryan? This is my getting you back for not treating us with respect. I don't think people talk that way. And what do people know? People know the phrase, the title, the Pink Panther. People who don't know the series don't even know that A Shot in the Dark is a Pink Panther movie. He created the character. Everything that comes forth in the Pink Panther series, even the crappy ones, everything flows from the Pink Panther. So I'm going with the one that made all the rest famous.
Good for you.
Thank you. And that's that's all I gotta say about it. We're done.
Well done. Well done, us. Moving along.
Having said that, I do want to watch at least The Pink Panther and A Shot in the Dark again sometime soon. So that's going to happen probably. The first two.
Okay.
I mean, it's your life, man. Do what you want. Number 6. After discovering that the poor caterer's name is Cato, interesting, you quickly scoot away and, for cover, enter a group engaged in lively conversation about Inglourious Bastards. You quickly discover that one of the participants in the conversation, a man named Quentin, has such a taste for blood that it is almost sickening. Killing humans has weight, you say, even if they are Nazis, something brought home to you most impactfully by which German World War II movie? A. Downfall, Der Untergang. B. Das Boot. C. Sophie Scholl, The Final Days.
2 things I want to say.
Please go. Please.
One is a correction and 2 is an apology.
Please.
Number 1, the correction. Even though it says Boot, in German it would be pronounced Boot. So it is Das Boot.
Sorry about that. That's my fault.
That's just... No, just let you know. Because
No,
I always thought it was Das Boot, and then I took German in high school, which is a whole other story, because I took German from the guy I told you the sneaker story. I took German from Werner Brandes, so deal with that. His name is his passport. Verify him.
My passport. Verify me.
That was my German teacher. When Andy and I were preparing for this gauntlet, I said, I've got all my answers to all these questions. Andy, I don't know what happened. I didn't see number 6.
Okay.
I've never seen any of these movies. Like, Downfall is the one that they do that famous...
The internet meme, yes.
So that's my answer then, just on principle, I guess. Okay. I've never seen any of these movies.
I've only seen clips of Final Days. Let me tell you what your answer is going to be. Your answer is going to be Das Boot. It just will be. I promise you.
I believe you. It's the only one of the 3 that I actually ever have any intention of watching, so that must be true.
I feel like it's not a spoiler because we're talking about Germans in World War II. The end is devastating.
Oh.
And again, watch it anyway. Watch the director's cut, which is like almost 4.5 hours long.
Okay.
Because I promise you it is worth it. It is so intense. It is easily one of the most intense movies I've ever seen. And I will tell you this now. A bunch of people survive the movie. All right? It is devastating. And what Das Boot does certainly better, and I'm not this. There's no way that I'm making fun of your answer when I say this. Downfall is about Hitler and his closest people in the bunker, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to feel sorry for them. It's hard to feel the impact of their deaths as human beings.
Right.
Das Boot is a grizzled veteran captain who's like, why are we fighting this war? And a bunch of kids. And it is, devastating. Whoop. So
can I just instead of watching Das Boot the director's cut, can I just watch Hunt for Red October twice?
No.
In a row?
Nope.
Oh. Okay. It was worth a shot.
It was. No. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It was worth a shot. But it necessitated me shutting that down.
And I respect that.
Moving on. Your position is not well received, number 7. And you move on. Nearly running into the back of a man with striking hair. As he turns, you are dazzled by his smile, and it takes you a moment to recognize Warren Beatty. After you recover yourself, your first thought is, A. Reds is what a historical epic should be. B. I almost started robbing banks after watching Bonnie and Clyde. C. I totally would have voted for you in Bulworth. D. Don't mention Ishtar. Don't mention Ishtar.
You want to go first, or should I?
I do. I'll go ahead. This is the first movie when left to my own devices, I would not choose one of the movies. But I will give you my answer. And I think my answer might change. I confess to you, I have not seen Reds, which is a shame because it's apparently an amazing movie. Didn't he win Best Director for it? And
he may have, but Jack Nicholson was in it, so really that's all that matters.
and a young Julie Christie. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
come
I
on.
know.
So, my answer is B, Bonnie and Clyde. But my real answer, left to my own devices, is Heaven Can Wait. Have you seen that movie?
Did you know that I haven't? I've seen bits of it, but that's not enough.
It is outrageously funny. It is outrageously funny. So, given my choice of what movie to bring up to Mr. Beatty, I would bring up Heaven Can Wait. That's it. That's what I got for you.
I too have never seen Reds. Jack Nicholson, Diane Keaton, Warren Beatty, Maureen Stapleton, Gene Hackman. Ridiculous.
Yes.
I think is it about communists in a positive way? Because if it is, I may never see it. But I'm gonna go. Okay, if left to my own devices, I'd probably either go with Bugsy or Dick Tracy.
Nice.
Just for the record. But my official answer, are you ready for it? You're not ready for it.
I'm not.
Oh, it's Ishtar.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, I am one of those people who at least upon first viewing was completely unimpressed. Not completely.
Sure.
I just don't care about Bonnie and Clyde.
Sure.
I just don't care.
Sure.
It's not that it wasn't good, I just don't care.
Sure.
I haven't seen Reds. Bulworth is like what Aaron Sorkin wishes he could do.
That's fair. That's fair.
And but not a bad movie by any means. But the idea of Warren Beatty in 1990s hip hop garb spreading truth is just like
a little distasteful.
It's the definition of like baby boomers thinking that they have any clue what's going on. When in fact they have no clue what's going on. So I'd rather choose him as a clueless, goofy actor in Ishtar, which is a totally underrated movie, or Dick Tracy or Bugsy, because those are period pieces and goofy pieces where there's no real commentary on the world. So those are my answers. So Ishtar's my answer.
Can I say something? This is
I hope that you
my
will.
shame. Julie Christie is not in Reds. Again, I
know.
haven't seen it. I thought she was. Having said that, that cast is enough, and apparently it's amazing. So there you go. I like that answer. I didn't enjoy Ishtar, but I didn't hate it.
It doesn't deserve the what's that word? Enmity that it gets.
I mean, wasn't it made by Elaine May? Nothing done by Elaine May ever deserves enmity. Period.
Well, there you go.
Is my thought about that. Okay, so moving on. Number 8. Having mentioned Ishtar, Mr. Beatty turns away and toward another conversation. You meet a friend dressed as Neptune. Don't know if that's the god of the sea or the planet. He has been slowly wandering around the outskirts of the party, but now he approaches you with a question. He is an astrophysicist, I'm going with planet, but his 11-year-old son, it appears, has been utterly uninterested in space, far preferring the arcane world of finance. Wall Street 2, in fact, is the son's favorite movie. He wishes to remedy the situation and asks what movie is best calculated to interest the young man in space exploration. You respond: A, The Right Stuff; B, Apollo 13; C, Contact; D, Event Horizon.
Oh wow.
You want me to go? You want to go?
Please go.
So, it's not Event Horizon unless you want your son to cry for 7 years or just emancipate himself from you. It's not Apollo 13 because, oh my god, that would be terrifying for an 11-year-old, period.
It might make your child want to be a mathematician.
Yes.
Or a scientist.
Yes.
But not an astronaut.
Not an astronaut. So maybe it would spark an interest in space. But, so it came down for me to Contact or The Right Stuff. It depends on your kid, right? If your kid isn't interested in space, but he kind of likes aliens, obviously go with Contact. But I also think maybe it's a little over the head of an 11-year-old. So I'm going to go with The Right Stuff, which is a movie about a bunch of badasses flying really fast. You know? It's like what will make me want to be a Navy pilot? YouTube videos of Navy pilots dying or Top Gun?
Right.
You know? That's the right
Andy,
stuff.
Andy, I just received this is breaking news. I just received an email and it says that you answered that correctly.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic.
You're welcome.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you for whoever sent you that email.
Here's the deal. I've still never seen the right stuff since earlier on in the podcast when we talked about it.
Right, I remember that moment. I was there for
But
that.
it's clearly the answer.
Yes.
Because even though I've never seen it, I know what it's about and I know that it's a classic. And it's the movie that made people excited about space.
Yes.
That's what the movie did.
Yes. Yes.
Contact makes you excited. Contact, first of all, the first time they try to go, everything falls apart. It shows how fragile that is, just like Apollo 13 does.
Yes.
And Event Horizon, you're just a meanie for bringing it up.
Right.
That's just the only. I mean, you might as well put Alien on there. The only appropriate, right?
I want my son to be a space miner who dies from a chest burster.
The only appropriate answer in terms of getting someone excited for being an astronaut is clearly the right stuff.
Yes, agreed. Thank you.
So I echo your answer. It is also mine.
I appreciate that. Moving on. I think that I am supposed to be the man in this question. And I think you are supposed to be the other man. And if so, I'm offended on both of our behalves.
Okay.
A strange but fancily dressed man walks up to you unexpectedly. He says, I need a movie.
Do you want to do the dialogue together?
Yes. He says,
okay.
I need a movie.
A movie?
A movie. I need a David Mamet movie.
A Mamet movie?
A Mamet movie. I need a David Mamet movie.
Have you seen Glengarry Glen Ross?
Have I seen Glengarry Glen Ross? Of course I've seen Glengarry Glen Ross. I watched 167 movies last year while you were watching Girls and thinking it made you something. I don't like being trifled with. Now, do you have a movie, a real movie, or nothing? End of dialogue. You quickly think of the most David Mamet movie you can imagine and suggest A.
First... Okay, go ahead. I'm so angry with him right now, but go ahead.
And suggest The Spanish Prisoner, State and Maine, Spartan, or Red Belt.
Okay. First of all, his attempt at Mamet dialogue shows why no one should attempt David Mamet dialogue except for David Mamet.
It's true. To be fair, he was handicapped by no F words, but still.
Okay, well, Mamet doesn't repeat back and forth pointlessly. That's Dan Brown that does that. So, he did not say which is the best Mamet movie. He said, what is the most Mamet movie?
Yes.
And that is a tricky question. Of the four, my favorite David Mamet movie is State and Maine. It is my favorite.
Mine as well.
What else can I say?
Yes.
I'm going to say for the most Mamet movie, oof. It's going to be between Spanish Prisoner and Spartan.
Yes.
I'm sad that Heist has been left out of this.
Me too.
I only saw Red Belt 1, and I once... Red Belt's a really good answer, though.
It is a good answer. Can I tell you why I don't think it's as good an answer as the other two?
Please.
Because David Mamet is all about... You know the old Alfred Hitchcock thing, like a bomb under the table is suspense, when it explodes, that's action? Yep. The other two are suspense. Red Belt is action. Even though there's not as much action as you might expect in a martial arts movie, it's still more action than the other two, and I feel like Mamet is more suspense rather than action. He's
okay.
Talking. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about it.
Sure. Think away. Think away.
Okay.
Yeah, go.
Well, okay, now, technically the answer should be Spanish Prisoner because it has Rebecca Pigeon in it.
Right.
And that makes it most Mamet.
Yes.
But I don't want to watch a movie with Rebecca Pigeon in it if I don't have to. So I'm going to choose Spartan. I'm going to choose... I like Heist. I love State and Maine, and I love Winslow Boy, and she's in all those. And I really like Spanish Prisoner.
Yeah. And
Spanish Prisoner is confusing because it's got Steve Martin in a completely dramatic role.
Yes.
Which just throws me off the whole time.
Sure.
I'm going to go with Spartan. I think Spartan is... I think it may be the most successful Mamet is at being Mamet on film.
Nice. Well said. Well said. I really like that answer. Here's why I'm going to disagree with you and go with The Spanish Prisoner. And you've already said the answer. It's because of Steve Martin in a completely dramatic role. The thing that the best Mamet does for me is keep me off guard.
Yep.
And it isn't that I don't think that Steve Martin is capable of doing of performing a dramatic role. It's that it's just unusual because you just don't see it that often. And so that is enough to. And again, my favorite Mamet movie. I might go with Winslow Boy. You know, like.
Yeah, even though he adapted it from a play and didn't technically write it originally. But I would say The Winslow Boy might be my favorite.
Yeah.
And State and Maine is my second favorite. I
Yes.
love those two movies.
Yes.
I just adore them.
And my third might be the one that isn't listed. Another one that isn't listed, Heist. But
Yeah.
with these four, using that, I come to the same conclusion you do. It's between Spartan or The Spanish Prisoner. And I just because of Steve Martin, I go the other way. But big props to you for your answer.
What a fantastic and I think it's sad that we haven't even talked about Red Belt. It's an engrossing movie and a thoughtful movie.
Yes.
But I didn't leave wanting. But I haven't had the desire to see it again.
That's yes. Because I remember it getting panned, but I mean there were some reviews that really liked it, but many panned it, and I didn't think it deserved that.
No. And in many ways, it could be the right answer because it is the movie that, of all of them, is essentially about a man's integrity. That is a very important trope for man.
That's really well said. That's really well said.
I think that could be a very legitimate choice.
Yes. And also, I have a huge man crush on Chiwetel Ejiofor, so there's that.
On who?
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
On who?
His name is Chiwetel Ejiofor.
I love that you got the chance to sneak that into this.
I
have a big crush on. I have a big crush on Derek Luke, who's in Spartan.
Sure.
Because he played Booby Miles in Friday Night Lights, the movie.
He did. Yeah, he did.
So,
well played.
And referred to Nikes as Nikes.
Yes, indeed. Moving on. Number 10.
Okay.
Two drunks by the bar.
Real quick.
Yeah.
This is the longest gauntlet ever, and not because of how long we're taking. Like, he's just written a lot of questions, and I'm not sure why we've allowed it. But you know what?
I know, right?
He threw down a gauntlet,
and we have to answer the bell. Have to answer the bell.
No, we don't have to. In our grace, we choose to.
No, I feel like we have to.
Continue.
That's fair. Number 10. Two drunks by the bar are getting progressively more argumentative with each other. Suddenly, one of the drunks throws a punch at the other. The defender responds in a vaguely familiar way, and suddenly you realize that he has learned the same sick fighting moves that you learned through repeated viewings of your favorite Luc Besson movie.
Wow.
Is that, look, everyone who has any idea about anything sacred and holy and right in this world already knows what the answer to this question is. A.
Thank you.
Nikita. B. Leon the Professional. C. The Fifth Element. D. The Transporter. Phil, what's the answer?
Okay. I thought these were supposed to be multiple choice questions.
I know. There's only one. It's like you forget all of the other movies once I.
Luc Besson made Leon the Professional, and then a bunch of other stuff.
Yes.
And even if you want to argue how great The Fifth Element is, and I am someone who has watched that movie many more times than I would like to acknowledge.
Sure.
Or if you want to talk about how special and important Nikita was.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you just want to be an idiot and say Transporter. I don't even understand that. The only appropriate answer here it's not just that Leon the Professional is one of the is Luc Besson's best movie. It is the movie that has kept him alive and in people's hearts for 20 years now.
Yes.
And it is the thing that single-handedly introduced Natalie Portman, single-handedly made Jean Reno an actual star outside of France.
Yes.
But aside from all that, I haven't gotten into Gary Oldman. It is one of the best movies of our lifetimes.
Yes.
It's the only plausible answer here.
The three central performances are as good in what is functionally a very, 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 very exceptionally well-made action movie, but an action movie nonetheless. The three central performances are as good as you will find in any movie, in any genre, in any year. Jean Reno, Natalie Portman, Gary Oldman are superb. And I love how you went through the other movies. I will add a movie to this list. Even if you insist, and I don't know why you would, on talking about the theatrical cut rather than the vastly superior director's cut.
Oh yeah, no. Still better.
Still better.
The theatrical cut is the one that I had seen for many, many years. Is the one I knew better. And even then, it's still the better. It's just better.
Yes.
But the director's cut is ridiculous.
The director's cut, it's one of those movies that you watch, and it very rarely happens. It really does. But you watch and you think about this director, and you just think, for the length of this movie, he was playing a different game. He was just playing a different game. It's like LeBron on the fast break. At some point, he's not actually playing basketball. He's doing something else and letting us all watch. And Luc Besson, when he was directing it and editing together the director's cut, he was playing a different game. With the second we finish this, I'm gonna watch The Professional. Unless I'm watching The Pink Panther, unless I'm watching Once Upon a Time in the West. I don't know.
Right.
Unless I'm watching The Spanish Prisoner. Okay.
What I think is funny about his question, by the way,
yes,
is he's talking about fighting sequences and sick fighting sequences, although he ends up, the real question is just about favorite Luc Besson movie, but if really the only one with sick fighting sequences is The Transporter.
Right.
Maybe Nikita. Leon doesn't have sick fighting sequences. It just has, we wouldn't be watching two people fight. We'd just be watching one guy sneakily kill everybody.
It's true. It's true. Which
it wouldn't be a fight. You'd just look around and you'd be sitting there drinking at a bar, and then you'd turn around and realize everyone around you had just died, and you didn't see it happen.
Right. And then you'd be thinking about the last 15 hours of your life, hoping that you didn't anger anyone. Because if so, you're next.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Having said that, clearly it is not The Transporter, it is The Professional. Okay. Number 11. In seconds, as the fight reaches a quick climax and dissolves, you see the aggressor move through anger to fear to regret, and the defender move from shock to determination to triumph. This makes you realize that the best self-contained action scene, complete with its own mini-plot and character development, is A. Children of Men, Urban Combat. B. The Bourne Identity, American Embassy. C. The Fellowship of the Ring, Aragorn protecting Frodo and Boromir's fight. And D. Three Kings, Abdullah's wife killed, Americans respond.
Okay. Are you ready for the answer?
Phil?
Yeah.
I am ready for the answer.
Of these four, my favorite movie is The Fellowship of the Ring.
Yes.
To answer the question, the answer is clearly for me Children of Men.
Okay.
The final sequence of that film, which is, I believe, what he means by urban combat.
Yeah.
If you knew nothing else about what that movie was about, if you had no idea the significance of the child, if you had never, read the nativity story of Jesus Christ.
Hang on.
It would still.
Oh my God! I
just blew your mind.
Blew my mind.
It would still be one of the most powerful images and juxtaposed and prophetic and deep, dramatic, like he said, self-contained scenes of anything that ever happened in movies. I love The Fellowship of the Ring, and I cry every time I watch that scene, but I don't consider it self-contained because I think you have to know way too much about Aragorn and Boromir and their previous relationship. And I don't mean love and relationship. I just mean everything that's built up through the movie to that point. I think you need to know a lot for it to contain what it has.
Yes,
it is cool in and of itself, but it's on this list whether you know it or not because of what you know.
Yes.
The American Embassy and the Bourne Identity is just cool.
Yep.
Just cool.
Yep.
I saw Three Kings once and don't remember that scene. I'm sure it's great. Whatever. Children of Men is just that scene is that scene is going to go down in history.
Phil, not only are you right, you are precisely right. You are right for precisely the right reason. It is. Welcome to the gun show.
That's right.
We can pretty quickly dispel Three Kings. It's an enjoyable movie. I like it. David O. Russell, as much of a jerk as he is, apparently, he doesn't make bad movies. The Bourne Identity. I mean, I love that scene. It is cool as all get out. It comes down to Children of Men and the Fellowship of the Ring. And the reason that Children of Men is the answer is because of the term self-contained. Yep. My favorite movie of those four, I mean, I'm just talking because I like to talk. Yeah, I agree with you completely. My favorite movie of the four, clearly Fellowship of the Ring.
Yep.
The best movie, either Fellowship of the Ring or Children of Men.
Yep.
But if you took away the rest of the movie, that fight scene would just be cool in Fellowship.
Yep.
And
that would be fine. It would still be really cool.
Yes.
But it wouldn't. Right. But if you just turned on the last fight, the final sequence of Children of Men, the climax, and showed it to someone without any preemptive anything, without any prologue, without any setup, and just said, just shut up and watch, when it ended, they would be breathless.
Yes. And their eyeballs would be dry because they will not have blinked.
Yep.
Because it's basically done in one cut.
Unless they were too busy weeping.
Yeah, it's right. That's right. Well played. Well played.
So, yeah.
So that's that.
That's that, Mattress Man. That's that.
Moving on. Unfortunately, the fight brings the party to a premature end. Your host thanks everyone for coming and politely, but firmly, escorts you out the door. As you wander home, you reflect on the strange events of the evening and feel thankful both for the variety of experiences that you have vicariously lived through because of movies, and also for surviving yet another gauntlet.
Wow. So there you go.
I'm spent. I can't even deal with it.
I got to tell you something, Andy. You did a bang-up job. I'm proud of you.
Right back at you. I love it. I love it. This is
and,
strong work.
And what's the name of the guy who wrote this thing?
Ryan Caldwell.
Good job, Ryan Caldwell.
Except for the whole hero thing at the beginning. Good job.
Which is fine. I mean, obviously he loves it, and that's the point. But don't name it twice.
Right.
Next time you write a Gauntlet, don't say some of the same movies over and over again. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a good Gauntlet. I was excited. I was excited to do it.
Yes, me
and
too.
You know what? It's your Gauntlet. If you want to bring back old characters from previous rooms, that's your business.
That's right. That's right. So
it's like in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out when you have to play Bald Bull the second time.
Right? What is that about? You're like, I already beat this guy.
Oh, Piston Honda's easy. Oh, apparently he's not.
Yes, totally. It's just like that.
Yep.
So, this brings us to the end of our Second Breakfast podcast and the week of Second Breakfast. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. Spoiler, you haven't.
Nope.
But that'll do it. Enjoy your sadly only 2-day weekend this weekend. And
we need to move to France.
I know, right?
I think they have 6-day weekends there.
Right. Nice. Well played. And we will see you again next week for another round of it. I'm Andy Roth, and that's Phil Duvall. We are Second Breakfast. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
The most important meal of the day, second breakfast.